Cyberpunk uncensored.
Hey, what's up everybody? In this crash course tutorial for Shadows of Esteren by Studio Agate, I'm going to do a deep dive on Feondas. Let's dive in. Alright, so what is a Feond, or Feondas, the plural? You can see here, first off, I have the pronunciations next to some of these words, and if you watched the setting and style crash course video that I've already put out, you'll know that there's some interesting words in this game, some old school Celtic lore words. Like I said, I do have some pronunciations here, and there is a pronunciation guide available. It's in the description of all of these videos in this series. But again, don't get hung up on pronunciations or semantics and all those sort of details. Just make it your own, have fun with it, and don't worry about that so much. I have them here to help, but again, don't stress out over that. So a Feon is basically the antagonist of the game. They're they're a demon-like creature, almost like an elemental. They're very influenced by the elements, and I'll get into that a little bit deeper in this dive. They come in many different sizes and styles and motivations. Again, they're the main antagonist of the game. They're the horror side of the game. If you watched, again, the setting and style video that I put out about this game, you know that there's a definite horror side to this, and Feondas, they encompass that tremendously. They originated in the history of Tree Kazel, long ago in the history. There was this time period. You can see I have that listed here, and again, the pronunciation is a bit difficult. It's Ierzaween. So that's the time period back in Tree Kazel. It was kind of a mystical time period where a lot of Feondas were showing up and just waging war on humanity, on basically the land of Tree Kazel. And there was even giant ones. Like I said, they come in many different shapes and sizes, and they're influenced by elements. And again, I'll show some imagery, and we'll get into that in a moment. But back during that Ierzaween sort of period, there was even giant ones appearing that were referred to as dragon-like, just to give you an idea. So they come in all sizes and forms. They're the antagonists. They're kind of monster-like, demonic, elemental-like. They basically wreak havoc on the land of Tree Kazel. Let's get into it. Let me show some imagery here, and let's go over a little more about these Feondas. So, let's let these images kind of fade in and out as we talk about it. These Feondas, like I said, they come in many different shapes and sizes and forms. They have different motivations. They're influenced by the different elements. So they've been described as, monsters or beasts, coming out of the woods, out of the water, out of the air, out of the land. Some even appearing orc-like or ogre-like, if you will. You'll see that image kind of come up where it looks like they're wearing these masks, which are referred to as these sort of bone masks that are almost attached to their face. When they've killed Feondas in the past, there's history reports and letters about these bone masks on those forms of Feondas not being able to be removed, almost fused with the body. They can attack, as singular entities, like just as a beast by themselves, or as a horde. They've been described as unintelligent and intelligent, to be just kind of animalistic and just crazy and just attacking. Look at the image right there. That's kind of what I was referring to as the orc-like version. But anyways, so they can attack almost animalistically or tactfully. They've been described as, surrounding a garrison or a castle and attacking on all sides at the same time, almost tactfully. Which is unlike previous animalistic encounters with Feondas. So there's been all kinds of, experiences and examples in the rule book and in the different campaigns that, like I said, it diversifies what Feondas are and how they act and their motivations. The fact that I mentioned that they're influenced by the elements, almost elemental-like, is in that, as you can see in these images, you'll see some kind of breaking out of a structure, out of the building, out of the wood, or maybe looking like, an insect or a beast or a giant boar or animal or something. There might be a seductress style one, like that image that just faded through, where it's almost feminine and mystical and coming out of the vines, and maybe that's less animalistic and more persuasive in its ways. You can see right there that image, that one almost looking like a beast coming out of the woods, this one creeping out of darkness. If you check out the campaign I ran, you'll see a link to that playlist at the end of this video. You'll see I created a Feond that was based on water, coming out of the swamps and water. I don't want to give away too much. Check out that campaign and you'll learn about that one I created. But ultimately, they can be in any form. Look at this one that's very bird-like, the feathers and almost humanoid-like. This one that's, bark and vine sort of structure, almost that looks like a canine beast or a wolf style. So anyways, they can be any size, any shape, any element. And then when I said about motivations, like I said, there's one that maybe is a bit of a seductress or a persuasive. Maybe there's one that's animalistic, that's just wanting to destroy anything living that's not a Feond. They just attack and they just kill. Maybe there's ones that are, responsive. Yes, it's the antagonist, but maybe it's in a responsive way to whatever the nearby village is doing to the environment, or through travels. You can create many different, reasons that these Feonds exist or become the antagonist in your campaign, and there's no wrong concept. Let's get that out there. There's no right or wrong way to portray Feondas. They, like I said, come in any shape, form. They have many motivations, and you can make them your own. Once you dive into Shadows of Esteren, you'll see in these books when they go over Feondas, there's all these different images that kind of express different forms and ways that they can be, but they also explain them in ways, like I mentioned earlier, where they'll describe them as unintelligent and just animalistic, attacking, but then all of a sudden there'll be an example of, hey, they attacked the garrison from all sides, and it seemed, orchestrated, almost like a leader, calling on all of them to happen at the same time, and maybe they heard, a trumpet sound or something, I don't know, but you get my point. There's no right or wrong way to portray these Feondas, and they can attack and be the antagonist, in multiple motivations. So make it your own, drop them into the game. Don't forget the horror aspect. Make sure that even if it's intelligent or seductive or something humanoid, that it still has very evil roots and very demonic roots in its methods, if you will. It needs to portray the horror side of the game, because these are the main antagonists. So no matter the diversity, make sure you lean on that aspect of them. And another thing that I want to kind of bring up here, and I want to read something from the book that's going to hopefully drive all that home, is the fact that, the diversity is what allows the game leader to use these in any way, in any campaign, at any moment. So, if it's incorporated into the core of the story, maybe you already have a plan for it. Maybe it's something that you drop in to spice things up because the campaign's going in a different direction or something. However it is, the diversity is the strength behind the Feondas and the way that the game leader can use them. And let me read something right here straight out of the book that'll kind of drive that home and hopefully, be the icing on the cake that explains how these Feondas work and how they can be incorporated into your game. I mentioned in the setting and style tutorial about the layout of these books and how they're written like letters from different characters to their lords or other characters, and it's not just a cut and dry rule book, and I love that. And this will kind of be an example of that as well. So let's check that out. Let's get into this. Right here. This is a letter from Dele to his lord. Dele is a Varigal. A Varigal is kind of like a nomad style character. Again, I'm going to do a deep dive on Varigals. I'm also going to lightly go over Varigals in the character creation video. But just to give you an idea, they're kind of like a nomad, a traveling character around Tree Kazel, around the peninsula, around the land. And Dele is writing this letter back to his lord. He's been exploring the land, writing back to the Lord and giving examples of what's going on to kind of be an informant. And this is about Feondas. Look at this. This is a letter about Feondas's weaknesses. I will end this report with a recollection of essential information that will be most useful to you. The weak spots of Feondas. Unfortunately, organizing a systematic, reliable defense is a gamble, since everything depends on the opponent. As these creatures come in shapes, heights, and compositions of various kinds, there is no general rule. Indeed, a creature with rocky skin will be more vulnerable to heavy bludgeoning weapons, whereas one with bark-like skin will essentially fear fire and slashing weapons. Against some of them, swift and quick fighting techniques are the most suited, while facing others, no one will be more efficient than a heavily armored knight. Therefore, it is advised that members of a garrison have complementary specialties. When the moment comes, you will be able to act more efficiently by observing your opponents and choosing those among your men who will be most suited to fight them. There's nothing left for me to say, but good luck. Dele. So you get the vibe there. It's, there's no good planning except plan for anything. So Feondas can be anything. That's what makes them so dangerous. That's what makes them so diverse and so awesome to use for a game leader in your campaign. And I hope to see you using them in creative ways in your upcoming campaigns. Make sure you tag me. And also, if you have any questions about Feondas, leave them in the comments and I'll answer and try to help you. All right, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.
Cybernation Uncensored.